Hello everybody, welcome back to Cycle Fab. I'm Larry. Say, this is not one of my normal videos. There will be no motorcycle items whatsoever in it. I will be adjusting valves on this Husqvarna though. These are great little tractors. They use Briggs and Stratton engines in them. Pretty much all the Briggs and Stratton's valves, whether it's a V-twin or single piston, they all adjust the same. So anyway, if you'll follow me on this, I'll show you how to adjust the valves, and it's part of the regular maintenance. So I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up and click that like button below and subscribe. Let's get on with this. Okay, here we are. First thing you'll need is information. This is your manual on your specs for setting your valves. Now, both the intake and the exhaust valve, you have a 4 thousandths to 6 thousandths variant. Now, I like to set my intake at 6 thousandths and my exhaust at 4. Next thing, 5/8 inch socket. This is for getting the spark plug out. Try to use a spark plug socket, one that's set up just for spark plugs. You don't have to, but it's wise to. It keeps you from accidentally breaking the top off the spark plug. Now, I use a number 2 yellow pencil for checking the height of the piston at top dead center. It doesn't have to be a pencil or yellow or a number 2. 1 1/4 inch socket. Metric wrenches, you'll need the 5mm, 13mm wrench. Well, when I say metric wrenches, I mean hex. Now, I use the black Permatex. The reason why I use Permatex, I've always used it, it works. There are other brands out there you can use. The reason why I use the black, it's more oil resistant and it does handle up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit temperature. You'll also need a 3/8 inch socket and a 5/16. And these go into my electric drill. You don't have to use an electric drill, you can use a ratchet. And also feeler gauges and a razor blade. Rubber mallet, this is for getting the valve covers off. Okay, this is what we need, so let's get with it. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Say, if you've really enjoyed it up to now, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it, and my channel needs you. Say, let's go ahead and get on with this video and show you guys how to adjust valves. Obviously, the first thing you need to do is lift the hood up. Now, before you just pop the hood off, you have a wire right here. Okay, this connects to your headlights, disconnected. Mine is already disconnected just because. Okay, now, oh yeah, and after you put the hood back on, after you're done, remember to hook the wire back up. Now, getting the hood off, you just gotta play with it. It's very easy. I say it's very easy. Okay, probably be easier if I did that with it down low and not up on the lift. Now what you want to do is take the cover off of the crank fan to access the large nut that's up underneath here. That's what the 1 1/4 inch socket's for. Just set this off to the side. Now, this is why you always disconnect the battery before you start working on an engine. I just leave this up here. The battery's connected. If somebody was to hit the ignition, it would probably be painful for me because this would come flying off and hit me in the head. So don't do that. Now the next thing we're going to do is remove this valve cover. This is what you use the 3/8 inch socket for. Now take your rubber mallet, just give it a very light tap. It should pop off. Okay. Now take your spark plug out. Now you're going to want to take your spark plug out on the other side as well at the same time. The reason being is so you can check your top dead center, and turning this makes it much easier. So let's go ahead and move over to the other side and take care of that. Okay, now you notice I have the spark plug wire taped up here. That's not for me, that's for y'all's benefit, because what I'm fixing to show you is extremely important. On a 4-stroke engine, the piston comes up top dead center twice. One is on the compression stroke. This is set on the compression stroke right now. This is not the time and point that you want to adjust your valves. The reason being is because it's wrong. You see, there's no looseness in these valves, in these rockers at all. They're tight. This is not the position that you want your piston to be in, your engine to be in, your valves to be in to set them. So what you want to do is rotate it back around again. Another stroke. This is where your pencil comes in. You can use a flashlight for this, but it's pretty far down in there, so a pencil works best, or a rod, or something that fits in there. Okay, now, okay, that's all the way to the bottom. Coming back up. Okay. Okay, now this is top dead center. My pencil is the furthest out, meaning the piston is at the very top before it starts going back down. Now, see how loose that is? Can you hear that? These are loose. That's where you want to set the valves at, not on the compression stroke, on this stroke. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Now I've got my feeler gauges, 5mm Allen wrench, 13mm box end, open end wrench. What I do is I just stick that on here like that. Go ahead and stick this in here. Now, I always check my valves first just to see what's going on. It tells you a little bit about your engine, how it moves. You're supposed to do this annually. In other words, every season. Before every season, and I change the oil and the oil filter, fuel filter, do all the general maintenance before I use it for the beginning season, and I'm good to go. I always use synthetic oils in the engine. You don't have to, that's just me. Now, my 6/1000 feeler gauge will not fit on the intake, and it will not fit on the exhaust. Intake's at the top, exhaust is at the bottom. Here's your intake manifold, this is your intake valve. Here's your exhaust manifold, here's your exhaust valve. So what I want to do is I want to hold this 5mm while I break that nut loose. Now it's not very tight. You don't want it, doesn't have to be super tight. Put that off to the side for just a second. Now I've got my 6mm. I've got my 6/1000. There we go. Now you just want a little bit of friction in between your rocker arm and the top of your valve. As a matter of fact, if you can do this and it will just, you can move it, but it will just hold it. That's what you want. Now, while it's there, go ahead, put your box end back on. If you can't fit your box end on, use your open end or one of the others. Tighten this up while you hold your Allen wrench in a fixed position, and we want to check it again. That's it. It'll just hold up in there barely by itself, which is what you want. Okay, now let's go down to the bottom. The exhaust, get my 4/1000 back out here. That's a little looser than what I like, but it is within tolerance. Okay, see how it's moving? You can feel friction, but yet it won't fall out. Okay, we're calling that good. Tighten this down. Let's check it again, but don't lose all my feeler gauges. This moves back and forth with just a little bit of friction, but yet it will not fall out by itself. Okay, that's good. Now what we're going to do, okay, that's tight. Take our wrenches off. Set them over here out of the way so we don't lose them. Now we're going to put the valve cover back on. But before we do that, we have to get the old valve cover off. Now, some of these come with valve cover gaskets. This one does not. It has silicone on it, which is fine. That's what we have our razor blade for. We're going to scrape this off. Then I'll show you how to apply silicone. You do not want too much, but then again, you want just enough to work. First thing is just wipe it down really good, then get your razor blade and just scrape it off. Okay, we got our valve cover cleaned off. It doesn't have to be 100%. I mean, just that's good enough. You want to hit it with some brake clean or some other kind of solvent to make sure you get all the oil off. Now, on your silicone, they typically come with little cone-shaped dispensers like this. I always cut mine up here at the very, very tip because I just want a fine, fine bead. Now I'll show you what I mean by that. Just go down the center, right here. That's just enough. That's all that you need on this. Now, you see how I did that around the hole? Do that on all four and down each linear side. All right, well, that's what I was talking about. Just a fine bead all the way around it, all the way around each hole, and you're good to go. Now, I'm going to reassemble this in the order that I took it apart, and we'll be good to go. Now, I already did the other side, so that's it until next year. If you'll look down below, right over here and over here, you'll see 2 more of my videos. And I'll see you guys in a few days.